Okay. Good morning. Today is 28 May, the year 2010. I'm Dr. Dave Thompson, a volunteer at the Palm Springs Air Museum here in Palm Springs, California. As part of the Veterans History Project of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., we conduct interviews of veterans and civilians who participated in our country's military conflicts, especially World War II. Today, I'm here at the museum along with fellow volunteer Harry Ziegler and special guest, Major Elmer Stone, Paula Stone, Peggy Jones, and JUNCO Matsumoto. And today we will hear the story of Lieutenant General Kenji Matsumoto. Lieutenant General Matsumoto was in the Japanese Army for approximately 20 years and retired from the Army in 1939, primarily because he was against the Japanese aggression going on at that time. Unfortunately, the general passed away some years ago, so we're going to get his story through the eyes of his daughter, JUNCO. And Elmer is going to help facilitate that. He was in the Marine Corps during World War II in the Pacific. He also spent many years in Japan and is a Japanese linguist. So thank you, Elmer, for your help. And JUNCO, thank you. So good to have you here. Now, okay, first of all, let's kind of get you guys, make sure you're all lined up. All right, here we go. That looks pretty good. JUNCO, well, first of all, would you spell and pronounce your full name for us, please?
Okay. JUNCO, J-U-N-K-O, and last name Matsumoto, M-A-T-S-U-M-O-T-O.
Okay. I'm going to move this up just a touch closer. Okay. And your father, would you spell and pronounce his name for us?
First name is Kenji, K-E-N-J-I, and same Matsumoto.
Okay. And when was he born?
1886, January 8th.
1886. So that would make him, if he were still alive, about 125 years old, I guess.
Yes, that's correct.
And where was he born?
He was born in Shikoku Island in Kochi Prefecture.
Can you spell those two?
Shikoku is S-H-I-K-O-K-U. That's a small island, four prefectures in it, you know. And then he was one of the Pacific Ocean side. Kochi Prefecture is K-O-C-H-I.
And like how far from Tokyo would that be?
Oh, that's about, I don't know, I think it's about, I never thought about it, but the figure is very...
You can't walk there, probably.
I think it's about 250 miles.
Oh, okay, all right. And what did his father do?
Father?
What did your grandfather do? Your father's father?
Oh, my father's father? Father's father never worked. He just because he is a very rich family, and if I can say that my ancestor, it's about 400 years ago, the Lord Asanaga, Lord Sai Asanaga, it's in the castle in that area. And then all the samurai family, because that my ancestor, that the Lord, is always in the history, movie or dramas, it's always in the center of the what do you call that, character.
Uh-huh.
And then generation to generation, all samurai family.
So they used that castle to when they're making movies
No.
sometimes? Or?
Yes,
Oh.
very often, but that was burnt.
Oh.
Rhodes was, he was pretty young, and died pretty young.
Maybe you could help us explain the connotation of samurai.
Well, samurai was a warrior class of men that their principal strength ran from about the 12th century through till the Meiji Restoration, which was in 1868. Right? Meiji Jidai, 1868.
Oh.
The samurai was a very strong warrior class.
Oh,
in
that
Japan.
yes, samurai is way back
Yeah.
Way
in
back.
the States, and then
Comparable to the knights over in Europe,
Yes.
more or less.
Well, they were more aggressive.
Off with their heads.
Yes.
Harry, I'll turn it over to you now.
So, when you were growing up as a little girl, when does your memory click in, and you're aware of your surroundings and who your parents are, and when do you start thinking about things as a little girl?
oh, I think that maybe when I realized when we were in Tenshin, China, my father was transferred in China, Tenshin, China, and always uniform.
So
yes,
you remember
it was,
that?
sable, and always the stars on the cap. That was very strong image of my father.
And can you remember what his job was when he was in China, what he did?
No, I don't. But pretty much high-ranking, position. That's what I know.
Can you remember your house? Go ahead, Elmer.
And we have lived in all the wall around, very high wall because it's dangerous, and big building. That's our house. It's government made, and so always somebody was with us is going out, servant, that kind of thing, or my father's assistant took care of us for going out.
Elmer, you were going to ask something?
Well, I was just going to ask Matsumoto-san. You told me earlier that your father had been a regimental commander, Rentaicho,
That was
in
yes.
Korea.
Yes, Korea.
Yes. My question was he a troop he was there a troop commander as a Rentaicho?
That I don't remember
Mhm.
because
But I was just wondering whether he had any other commands of units, like Shidancho.
yes, of course.
Was he that?
Yeah, but my father, yes, that's what the military. What do you call that? Shidan in English.
Division.
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 Division. Yes, that was my father was under that, but when we lived in a regiment,
Mhm.
it's close by, and so my father was in charge of a regimental. What do you call it? Chief
Yes.
of staff. Or something.
Chief of staff. Butaicho.
Dentaicho, yes.
Mhm. Yes, chief of staff.
I'm going to back up a little, Junko. How did your father meet your mother? How did that happen?
Oh, that's very romantic.
Okay.
Because my mother was after school, and she was already arranged when she was little, when she was adopted, one of the birth parents' sister, and she couldn't have baby, so she was already arranged. First baby is to be adopted by her. And so she brought up only a girl, a family, and she brought up then until, but they already arranged since then. Her husband, still baby, to inherit their family name. So anyhow, so that's adopted father is Attorney General. She was born in Tokyo. And adopted father was Attorney General for many years. And then after he retired, moved back to Shizuoka Prefecture, not too far from Tokyo. And so she educated in that area, elementary school. After that, senior, what do you call it? Middle high. In those days, it called high
school?
high class elementary school, 3 years.
Tell her you can chip if you can explain it more back and forth in Japanese, and then maybe you can help her.
Koto Shogak. The elementary school is 6 years.
Yeah.
And then after 3 years is Koto Shogak.
Yes, it's
What do you call that? In those days, it's not like a modern system.
Mhm. It was a different system. It was after, it's equivalent of our junior high school level. It's in between. It's above elementary,
Okay.
but not totally up to
High school.
grade 12.
Okay. And
Koto-dai.
could you explain? I think I tracked everything she said. That her mother was an adopted baby
Yes.
and grew up with a family in Tokyo. Is that what we?
Yeah, grew up born in Tokyo, and my adopted father retired after his term, and then back to his hometown in Shizuoka Prefecture.
But what would an attorney general have been in Tokyo, Elmer? What would that job have been?
Kenji.
Yeah, it'd be the same as here.
For the whole country?
Well, Attorney General.
Yeah, the same like here too.
Yeah.
So he would have been the attorney general for Japan?
Yes.
Yes.
That's quite a position, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, was he an attorney also then? Was that
Well,
his background?
Their system is different.
Okay.
So it's hard to explain, but it does occupy the same function as our Attorney General does.
Okay. So then it would have been a very wealthy family then?
Yes. And
Very wealthy.
It's vast territory, and when I've been once, it used to be their land, and you have to go with horse for half days to go around.
That family was from Shizuoka Prefecture, which is the Nagoya area.
No, that's Shizuoka.
Shizuoka.
Shizuoka is
Oh,
near Mount Fuji.
yes.
It's Mount Fuji
yes,
is
I'm
Yamanashi
sorry.
Prefecture, but
I'm sorry.
it's south.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My mistake.
We can live with him. And so your father was from the samurai family, which was wealthy. Did that wealth carry on into his family, or was he?
No, my father is, my father's my grandfather, great-grandfather. Wait, my father. Yes, my father. My grandfather was, never worked, never had a job, and used all fortunes. And when he was grown up before school, and how's it? All the territories is somebody else's, taken away. So that's kind of thing. So my father had a very tough time when he grew up.
So he did not have the money.
No.
No, he was.
And he worked, in school and after work. After school, he worked and worked.
What kind of jobs would he have done?
And
do you
the
know?
easy way to know tuition is on the military academy. So that's why he picked up military. He wanted to be a governor or something. So, but no way. So there's didn't have any money to go to school. So that's why she went to, to military academy. And
Was it unusual for someone who was from not rich parents to marry a girl from a family who was very wealthy? Was that an unusual thing or common?
I think so, but because this is a kind of very romantic thing. Because when my mother was teaching in this western part of Japan. It's called near Osaka, and so she came back for some years. She came back for winter vacation. And Japanese traditional in those days, and mostly wealthy families, have 3 days of 1st of January to 3rd of January. They have typical Japanese card. Do you know that in Hyakunin Nishu? Have you ever heard?
No.
Okay, so that's Hyakunin Nishu. Is 101 person's poem from ancient to any to old time, and sick card, the 101 card, with picture in the latter part of poem and first half of poem, and somebody read up the whose poem, author of poem. And all lined up, many people lined up at the other side. That's a tournament, like. And all the 101 card is, latter part of card is on the tatami floor, and everybody's sitting both sides. And then my father was invited. I don't know how, but invited in there. And she came back from the vacation and joined that card game. And so they glanced at each other, and they like sparked. And then both just at the same time. This is my best half for my life, and he saw the same thing, and he was so attracted by mother's eye, beautiful eyes, and then so they were engaged. Family was okay because my father's father, no way. So anyhow, so everybody's my mother's side. Birth mother and adopted parents all agreed to, because he was such a nice man, decent nice man. So they okayed, but military didn't allow for permission to marry anyone So they have to investigate her background. And so her background, and because my mother's side has regional samurai. It's a very wealthy samurai, generation to generation, and that's why they have from Lord gave them to huge territory to manage. And so military government, okay, so this is okay, so this is samurai family, and it's always, matched my father's, background. So then they okayed, I don't know how many months. And then after they engaged, so she has to train like a samurai family's wife. So she was at my father's very strict aunt to stay for 1 year to learn how to behave or how to do and So
are you familiar with this, Elmer? Or this? Could you?
And
can you elaborate on any of that with her, Elmer?
Well, I think Matsumoto's doing a very good job.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I say?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So my year after, and everything is done. And my mother was a very educated person because she went back to Tokyo and graduate. She wanted to be a violinist. She wanted to go to but parents isn't allowed to. So she gave up. And he wanted to be a violinist, but he said, no, not woman, no.
What would that have meant to be a baroness? Was that an attorney, or does that term have anything to do with law? Baroness?
No, violin.
Violinist. Oh, violinist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she wanted to be a musician. So she says, no, never, that woman like you, so no. So they strictly refused. And so she said, okay, then I don't want to go back to the hometown. So she stayed and she went to a sewing school. In those days, a very good, And then graduate 3 years of sewing school, but not just sewing, but all the education, literature, or all kind of stuff. And then after she graduated that school, and she went to art school. Nowadays it's a university, but in those it's beginning of the art school for 2 years. And I don't know how she learned all kinds of things and how to lay the house, building house, and so she after that she designed all the house, the 2 houses we built. My mother and father built. She did it, all layout.
Were they married at this time, or were they were?
And so she, before she married, she went to sewing school, out in art school, and then he went to the western part of Japan for teaching, and then came back, and then she met my father.
Can you flunk school to be a samurai wife school? Can you flunk that?
No, that's a difference.
What Matsumoto-san is telling us is a very interesting story, because the samurai, her father came from a samurai family, and they have a very strict code of conduct, and in order to qualify, you have to understand, and believe in this code of conduct of the samurai. And that's why her mother had to train to be a member of a samurai group.
Right, that's right.
And so after is that then when she was able to marry? Is after she?
Well, I don't think we've gotten to that point yet, but as I understand it, her father was now an officer in the military, and he was not permitted to marry.
No,
Could not
that's right.
marry.
That's right.
Without permission from the Army. That reminds me of our former Marine Corps commandant who said, if a Marine needs a wife, they would issue one to
I don't think in the States never happened, right?
No.
It's not like
No.
that.
But I'm interested in knowing, when did your father get permission to marry your mother?
After he reported to the headquarters,
Mm-hmm.
and then they said, okay, so we investigate. And then I don't know how long that did it take.
What was his rank at that time?
It's first lieutenant.
First lieutenant.
Which is
Okay.
what would that be in Japanese, a first lieutenant?
That's
Shoi. Shoi.
No, Chewy.
No,
Shoi.
first lieutenant. Yes, that's right.
Chewy.
Chewy, yeah.
Chu. And
Because in Japan there is no first or second. We don't say that.
That's right.
Sho, chu, dai.
Right.
now, what kind of a ceremony then would your mother and father have had when they got married?
Oh, that same thing, they with the father wore a uniform, that's a dress uniform, and my mother was, typical
Kimono
Japanese and shimada, that's a hairdo, and the kimono was worn like this. The little
Do they
kimono.
put the rice paste on the
Oh
white?
yes, very white.
The white?
Yeah, and so they married.
So now, what religion would they have married under? What would be?
I think they married in the mother's hometown, in Shizuoka.
But what religion would they?
Oh, religion?
Hmm.
That's it's kind of Shinto.
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 In Shindo?
Shinto.
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 It's
Is there-
more imperial families
Mhm.
worship.
So
But
that's-
usually, very few is Buddhism wedding. But usually, we use any Japanese way Shinto wedding.
Mhm.
Oh,
You marry Shinto, you die Buddhist, right?
Oh, not necessarily.
now,
And also, this is very important. Is my mother and father is very devout Christian.
at this time?
Oh yes, my mother into Christian. She was age of 32, and since then she never gave the Bible away. Just always, even to go to bed, she was in the Bible on the top or something.
That's really interesting.
And all the chapters, everything is memorized.
And your dad was
Yeah, my father is pretty much,
a Christian.
Hmm.
Christian.
Now,
Matsumoto-san, what year did your mother and father marry?
Wait a minute. 1913. May 2nd.
1913,
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
and what would Japan have been like in 1913? Or were they becoming with automobiles and those type of things? Would that be the road improvements and where
Well, that
would it-
was the age of the railways in Japan. They were building railways very rapidly
Oh,
throughout Japan during that period.
is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that. My mother is very tight mouth, and she she doesn't really talk much about herself. But this, very later on, my mother told her life a little bit. But that's love story. Is I heard from my mother's very, very close aunt, and I said, "Oh, really, really." And she said, it's like nowadays, fell in love with each other.
Well, that would that have been unusual? I mean,
Oh, very unusual.
but were most marriages where you could fall in love with someone, or were they arranged?
That's why my mother left hometown to study in Tokyo, because they already arranged
For her to marry.
her to marry.
And she didn't want to
And
do
said,
that.
"Oh my God, this man! Oh no, this is not the future husband." And she said, "Oh my God! So what shall I do? Is think about it."
And how
And
old? I'm
she
sorry.
was 14.
And they had arranged at 14?
And no, she was already arranged when she was baby.
Oh, okay. I think I
And
remember that now.
the future husband is still, it's not too old, maybe 4 years old. And my mother is baby. So, and they already arranged, and this man is in the future, years later.
She was able to get away with that, huh? She was.
Yeah, but this is my mother is very quiet, very decent, very naive, and all kinds of things. And she doesn't talk too much, and she doesn't get angry. But she's a decision is made very fast, and said, "No, this is not the man I don't." So she went at 14, and think, what shall I do? So I'm going to go into Tokyo and study. And one night, she put all the stuff in a
Suitcase?
that suitcase, what it calls
Trunk?
trunk, right? And sneak out, because she has her own maid keeping eye on it. Housework is another maid. And so she's like step, and then I tend to go. In those days, nothing. Very early in the morning, go to the train station on foot, and took train, and go to first stop by Odawara, not too far from Tokyo, and she went to aunt's house, and I explained. So explained. So I said, "Okay, so I take care of you. Leave it on to me." So everybody thought she was somewhere drowned in the river or something.
They didn't know she left it.
And no, so their power. It's all the village or whatever. Everybody go to mountain or hill and all the river way up to, and looking for her and never find. And then all of a sudden, in those days, no telephone. And so aunt wrote a long letter to adopted parents. And so she said, "I understand." And she wanted to go to music school and study violin. And said, "Oh no." And so she said, "Never. We pay all the tuition and the living cost, everything, but no music school." So she said, "Okay." So, and now sewing school, that's okay. So that's what she, that's kind of thing.
Did you go back to Tokyo for sewing school, or?
Yes, and so she went to, again, left the aunt's place and stay in another, relatives. And so she went to school for 3 years, 2 years, art school, and she doesn't want to go back to the, any teaching. So she went way, way back, far away for West, and got a job there, and teaching for, I think the terms were 3 years. And then during that period, so she met,
That's your.
my father.
Now, where my understanding is correct, when she talks about art school, did that include architecture and?
Oh yes, everything.
And flower arranging and.
Flower arranging is
Yeah.
just different.
Yeah.
Special.
But it was
Special,
really
because
an
another teacher is outside,
Hmm.
so that's what I did too.
So it was a discipline like architecture then, is that
Yeah,
correct?
in architecture, but she likes it, picked up what class is. And then architecture and the drawing and writing, brush writing. and all kinds of things.
Did she paint pictures, you know?
Oh yes, she's very nice.
And so she painted, and you don't have any of those, huh?
No,
Mm.
my brother, late brother, took everything after she died because she lived with my brother family, and everything she had. So
Elmer, can you chip in here anywhere on things that
Yeah.
you're interested in?
Well, I was wondering, your mother and father were married 1913,
yes,
and he was with the military in Japan.
yes.
How soon did he first go overseas?
That was Manchuria. I think Manchuria because I don't know exact date. Because
1932?
1932 was in Washington D.C.
Oh,
He was assistant attaché
oh,
in 3 years.
so before that. Before that he
Before
went to-
that, because it's already three kids were born. So
Mhm. So he was in Manchu.
Manchu.
But what years was he in
That
Manchuria?
was maybe not he was 32 years old, but that was wait a minute. I think I did. Do I have that? I wrote it down. No.
Oh, in your logbook?
Yeah,
In that book?
in the book.
They were copying that.
Dave
Oh,
has it, yeah.
Yeah.
But before Tenshin, because I was born and my little sister born in Tenshin, and
Tenshin.
that was I think 19. 1919 or something. 1919 in Manchuria. 1919 or 1918 in Manchuria.
I see, okay.
And my older sister born in 1919.
Mhm.
And,
In Manchuria?
No, in Japan.
In Japan.
So
Mhm.
probably 1918 or something, because my papa,
Manchuria.
Manchuria. It's not long time,
Mhm.
maybe one or year and a half, somewhere around.
Mhm.
And came back. He was in 1920 to 1921 to 1923, he was in Washington D.C. for an
Oh.
assistant.
21 to 23.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
20. No, wait a minute. 20 to 20. No, wait a minute, because work together. Because I wrote it down because I don't. Wait a minute. 1920, 21, 23. So I think my my father's after my sister was born. So 20, 21, 22, I think. 1921, 22, 23, 22. And in the earthquake, Kanto, the big earthquake was 1903.
23. 1923.
September, yes.
Mhm.
So 3 years in there, so 20, 21, 22, and came back maybe early 23 before, and then he worked with Colonel Mashburn, the one that did the author of that book,
Mhm.
Colonel Mashburn, and
In
other people
23.
were- Yeah, 1923
In Tokyo.
in Tokyo.
So he was in 1923 was when they had the major earthquake in Tokyo.
And you were living with him at the time?
No, I wasn't born yet.
Okay, you weren't
So she was born 26.
26.
26.
So,
But they were there, and much of Tokyo burned. And it was a terrible earthquake.
Did they talk much about that as you grew up? Do you remember any of this?
Oh yes, because fortunately my mother and brothers and sister was living outside Tokyo. It's the next prefecture, so that was, of course, it's really big earthquake, and tiles or roof tiles was falling down or something like that, but not big damage. But Tokyo was disaster, and about 300,000 people died.
Yes,
I think that was something like that.
It was a major disaster.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to back up a little bit. Let's go back. Your mom and dad marry. Do they marry? Are there a number of Christians that they associate with, or are they just kind of unique?
Oh, it's kind of unique. In those days, it's not very many. But
Was there a Christian church they went to?
no, that's no. It's called my mother. Yes, they went to church, but not necessarily in a particular church. But I don't know that this is famous in the religious field. Kanzo Uchimura. He studied in the United States, and then came back to Japan and preaches in it. But she was really attached to him, and every week he had the Bible class for years and years until he died.
And this is in Tokyo?
Yes, Tokyo.
In Tokyo. So you're born where? Where were you born?
I was born in Tokyo,
And
suburb of Tokyo.
And are you older or younger than the other siblings?
I'm in the middle.
In the middle.
Yeah,
So
almost.
who was first? Who was first in the?
First is he was born in 1914
And his name?
in Tetsuji.
In Tetsuji.
Tetsuji. Yeah.
And
So he died when he came back summer vacation to when we were in Seoul, Korea, and he got sick and died in 6 months later
in Korea.
in Korea.
And so
He was 19
and
or 20.
so you're how many years younger than he was?
I'm 12 years younger than him. And in between, and the next one is 2 years later, 1916, is another boy, my brother. But I never met because he died 4 years before I was born.
The older brother.
Yeah,
Or the
second old brother.
second older.
And the third is my older sister. She was 1919,
And her name?
Kazuko.
And the other brother that
And next one is 2 years older than me, and his name is 1913. Wait a minute, 1924. 2 years older than me.
and the name?
Teruo.
Now,
And myself.
okay. And would you in Japanese would they call you Junko?
Yeah, yes, Junko.
Junko. Ko.
Ko.
And Elmer, maybe we can relate a little bit about what Japan was doing in Korea in those days. Why were they there in Korea?
Well, Japan acquired Korea in 1910, did you?
I think so, yeah.
1910.
When you say acquired,
It's
it
It's
was
They just took control of it. See, they'd beaten the Russians in the Russo-Japanese War, which ended in 1906, and then the army they had defeated the Russians at Port Arthur, Ryojin, and Admiral Togo sunk the Russian Navy in the Battle of Tsushima in 1906. And so Japan controlled the whole area politically and militarily. So it enabled them to, during that period, to acquire Taiwan and also Korea. And so they had Korea from 1910 until they were liberated in 1945.
So, am I in sequence? Does China come after Korea? Does his term time, or did it,
The war in China?
No, had he been in China before Korea? I've lost track of the times.
Oh,
Was your father and your family in China?
China first.
First.
Yes.
Maybe we ought to back up there. a little
Yeah,
bit.
China first. That was 1928.
In China.
Yes.
And you're how old? In 1928?
Two.
I was in 1920.
Two.
She's 2 years old?
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm not going to ask you
About.
what you remembered.
No, but since then, and I remember, Beijing, and we traveled, and I was I think 5 or I think 5.
And why would Japan have been in China in those years? Was it part of the...
Well, they had a very aggressive army. Japan started the aggression in Asia with the Russian War. Then in 1932, then they had occupied Manchuria in when did Manchuria?
Well, that's maybe you remember.
Yeah.
I
can't
I
remember
remember.
the year that they occupied Manchuria, but you remember they installed this Emperor Puyi, this puppet emperor in Manchuria. Then in 1932, they had what they called the China Incident, Shinajian,
Yes.
1932.
No, 1937. 1937, because we came back from.
No, that's when the
Oh, you mean which one? Nishijihen. Nishijihen is start 1937.
oh,
That not
Right.
what do you call it in the English, but we call somebody bombed in the Rokokyo, in the very edge of the western northern part of, and that's the start of the war.
was that where the railway bridge?
I think so. That's right. I think so.
That was 37?
37.
Oh, okay.
37.
Shinajihen?
July 12th.
That was Shinajihen.
Shinajihen, yes.
Oh, okay. That was a manufactured incident, according to the Western view, that the Army exploded a train, a bridge and a train, and then blamed it on the Chinese. So they went to war against China. And that's when they,
In 37?
37.
Now, what would I'm not remembering the dash, I should be writing these down. You were 2 in China, and how old are you when your father left China?
1932.
So you would have been how old at this point?
6.
About almost 6.
6. So are you you mentioned the house with the big walls.
Oh, yes.
And was it
And the wall is just in this concrete wall all over. Like
were the
this.
Chinese antagonistic towards the Japanese? Can you remember when you went out in town, whether...
Yes, it's some part, yes.
So you
that's
were not-
maybe that the Japanese, what they didn't do much like when they did in Korea. But very much don't. So that's why we always have somebody, the kids, not kidnapped or something like
Yeah.
that. So always my father's assistant or something like that.
So he would have been like another attaché job? There was not a regiment or a battalion or anything there, was there? You know what?
Well,
You know
they
what?
had very active military units.
I mean, they were.
They were fighting.
At that time, they were fighting already.
Yes.
In
Well, the nationalists, Chiang Kai-shek,
in the
the
Japanese,
nationalist army.
and they were at war with already.
Yes.
Well, that came after Manchuria, didn't it? They went into
Yes.
Manchuria first,
Mhm.
Pretty much later.
later.
After 37.
So, I'm trying to figure out a little bit about what her dad. You mentioned this earlier, and he would have been like on the staff. Is that what I got out of that? He was on a staff in China.
I'm not sure.
You know
What
what?
was your father's job in China?
Oh, China, that, what
Is
is
that
it,
where
chief
you're
of
Sambo?
staff, yes,
Sambo.
Sambocho.
Sambocho, chief of staff, for Shidano
Yes,
division chief of staff.
yeah, that's artillery,
Is she saying
division.
artillery?
Yeah, artillery. My father is
Artillery,
always in artillery, except Imperial Guard.
Mm-hmm.
When he came back from the States, and he knew that my father was trying to avoid going to war, so that's why he take out. But archery is archery. But my father was transferred to the Imperial Guard division, and she was brigade commander of Imperial Guard division.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In Tokyo.
So they're very close to Emperor. And not
Yes.
now this one, but
Mhm.
his father Emperor. And very close. And actually, according to my father, Emperor didn't want to go into war. But he's not a very strong person. And all the surrounding, stuffs, it's right, already made up their minds to go into the war. But my father was really very, very last minute, very worked. And this is one, even Admiral Yamamoto and Admiral Nagano and other two people, I forgot the name, but those people are also just like my father, against the war. And they are all, when they came to Washington, D.C., that's a rich friend.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all tried to avoid the war. But the Japanese government want Admiral Yamamoto and Admiral Nagano. So they will stay in their position. But my father is the archer, and so that's, So before he was, actually fired, but before he went, he said, okay, so we're still China in war, still fighting. So he was, I'm a military guy, so he just volunteered to go to participate in war. So he was in southern part of China in a battlefield, and he was what was it? It's his brigade commander.
Brigade.
Yeah, brigade commander in China.
Mm.
It's true. and I have a picture right there. And anyhow, but so almost 1 year, and he was transferred back to Japan. And
Transferred where?
back to Japan,
Oh.
and he promoted, 2-star general, lieutenant general, and fired.
Oh.
That's what's happened.
I see. So he had a year before his retirement. So that'd been 1938.
1930, yes, 1938 to 1939.
Nine.
Yes.
And let's see if I can. Your siblings. What is going on with your brother that is left, and your sister? What are they doing during this period of
Oh,
time?
but the first one is, the oldest one is died before college, and the second one is died when he was 6, and my older sister married to Mitsui man, Mitsui-san. And he was a very good businessman. He was transferred to New York office for 3 years.
In what time period, roughly?
Just before he came back, exchange ship.
Oh.
Just before the,
And
that's
the
only
And what was
the
that
last
again?
one.
The exchange ship. What was that on?
Yeah, that
Grips
means.
home.
Huh?
The Gripsholm, the Swedish ship, carried when the war started, we agreed with Japan that we would exchange diplomats and key personnel.
From Japan, and Americans in Japan, it was sent back to
And
home.
the Swedes did this for us.
I
On
remember.
the Gripsholm ship, named the Gripsholm. And we had several friends
I'm
on
going
that
to
ship.
change the cassette here for a
Okay.
minute. Let's just relax here for a second. If you want to drink some water and.
Yeah.
You have to drink.
Yeah.
I'm not really
Elmer.
water drinker, so.
The dates are hard to remember. Kyuju Nisai.
Wow.
JUNCO. School with their children
Yeah.
that were in the movie. You don't remember who they were.
Do you?
They were on the staff.
Oh,
And they were
yes.
bigwigs
Yeah.
then, and because you went to school with their children.
Yeah.
We went to see the movie and she recognized their name.
No, I'm
Did
sure.
you see the
yeah.
movie in the United States?
Yeah, The Last Emperor.
When
I
they,
think, Junko-san, you would enjoy that Yomiuri Shimbun book.
Oh, I
It
would.
is, you'd know
do
everybody.
you still
Oh,
have it?
probably, yes.
Do you still have it?
No, I gave it to Harry.
Well, ask him for it back. If he's read it, he won't want it.
No, I told him to pass it on.
Oh, well, maybe he did or didn't.
Well, I
When they
can,
showed The Last Emperor in Japan, we were there, went to see it, and they cut out the Nanking bombing and the rape of Nanking that was in the movie, if you remember.
Oh,
They didn't show
They
that in
didn't show
Japan.
that in Japan.
Oh, that's right.
But they
That's
showed
right.
it
They
here.
never.
Yeah.
Because
Very,
I know
very
that they
Prevalent in
really.
the movie here. But she was recognizing all the names. But I still think the funniest thing she talks about was when you were in school, JUNCO, and you don't tell them
Well,
that they learned how
talk
to.
a little bit about. I have to walk for a few minutes.
They were learning
My
to
back gets
defend their
bad when I
Yeah.
sit
country.
forward.
Oh, yeah.
They
So I'm going to take a
moved
walk downstairs and
Spears.
back up, and then we'll. So, but
The door open.
what if I remember this correctly, then you went to Korea and then China, or China and Korea?
Oh, China and Korea,
Korea, okay. And then
Washington.
after Korea, it's Washington D.C.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk a little more about that.
I know you were very young in Tensing, but did you associate it all with the other, there was an international community in Tensing. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a commercial place,
Yeah.
because we've known other people who lived there as children. Dutch, wasn't it, that one writer? Because it was a big international community, but I just wondered if you associated with the others or not.
No, I don't.
Everybody is kind of associated
But you
with
know that
themselves.
the funny thing, because when we always, my father transferred this, even in Japan, in this city to that city, in transfer, and this regiment or whatever, and so father was stationed. So we moved around, and I don't have no friend.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
all the big family, and my sister and brothers are my friend. So that's kind of thing. And another, see, now, very accustomed, relax, and then move, something like that. So it's the most, I remember, is more like a friend, and, always go to Washington, D.C. The thing
That's a military life.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know
Military
it well.
families.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I really like, this kind of thing, because when I was a little kid, tatami, big house, and, the 10-mat floor, and that's was Fort something. This is Fort something,
Yeah.
and brothers, something like that. And we prayed together, and bam, bam. And my mother is, after girls, and buy dolls and something, dolls into the shelf.
Yeah.
In the Indian, we used to make a band, and something like that, like a boy.
Yeah.
And more fun.
Well, they say children play with the box. You give them something, then they play with the box.
That's right.
I always wanted to go to Tensing. I'm not sure why, but we've known several people who were living there during, the 30s, 1930s. When
It was a
big.
trading port.
Yeah, it was a big commercial area,
Yes.
and families from many countries were there.
And Shanghai is really
Yeah, Shanghai.
Yeah. When we dropped in Shanghai, after by boat, we after my father's term was over, and we traveled all Europe, and
We're recording again. When do you start understanding what's going on between Japan and China and Korea, and possibly even the animosity that's starting to generate with America?
Vaguely, I started in Korea.
You understood?
Yeah, I understand, because our family, because my mother told me, never open your mouth and go to the public and anything what we say. And I said, shut your mouth. So, they talk each other, I just listen to everything, like, oh my God, what's going on? So, he's a little girl, and so that's why I'm very quiet, and I don't talk to him.
Still now?
Sometimes, yes. And, I don't like, and people think I am very shy. Maybe I'm shy, but, my mother, this is, very secret thing. If you listen, don't talk. So that's what I was told,
Well, at what point do you start going to school? While you're in Korea, do you start school?
Start school, first grade is in Korea.
And is it all Japanese?
Yeah, that's Japanese school.
Just so they're basically, it's the military families.
Mostly, yes,
That you're
or just a few business people or other government people or something like that. Those people, yeah. And they never let the Korean in, just Japanese.
By that time, Mary, all schools in Korea were taught in Japanese.
You know what? They totally discriminate Korea. That's
Sure.
very bad thing.
Yeah.
My mother didn't like it, and so they treated, maid or so forth, just like
Yeah.
dirt.
Well,
But,
I interviewed a Korean who was in the Japanese army. They impressed him into the army. And he said he was not treated differently than the Japanese soldiers. I thought maybe they put the Koreans in front and said charge. But he said no, they did not do that. He said that
that's not really do, but treat it very bad.
now, as a Christian family, how do you operate? And can you remember in your family what they're? How do you have your own? Do you just study the Bible, say, in your own family, or do you go with?
No, just my father and mother, and I'm not. They're just influenced by them. So I went to church, and
But you're becoming a Christian too.
Yes, but I'm Buddhist right now.
You're Buddhist.
Oh,
Okay.
very, very.
Well, that's what Irma said. You start out a Christian, you die.
But I respect any religion,
Sure.
even Muslim, that is Islam, because all this started. It's not really bad, like now, but Muhammad, when he got the 610, he got the God message. Since then, he started preaching also. But it's not that bad. I read book, but I'm not really know, but I can't say much. But I respect, what is their theory, Quran and whatever. Just outline I know. But that's nice thing to say. But now they just killing.
Well, as a Buddhist, what would be the basic belief as someone who is a Buddhist?
The Buddhist the Buddha is not God, but the treating that this is kind of human reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Philosophy, yes, and also everything is cause and condition. When we are here, this cause and condition. I'm here to mother and father, and mother and father is another mother and father or something. Everything, nothing is individually exist. Everything, But I saw this kind of thing, even friendship, to meet the people, and so everything is related. So just like when the wind blows, and the air is, high. What do you call that?
Say it in Japanese, Elmer could.
No, I probably forgot.
Yeah, yes. Why the wind blows? 風が吹くのは気圧が上がる。That's what do you call that? Air. It's pretty much science.
Well,
Scientific. But anyhow, everything is related. Nothing exists individually.
but in Japan,
So that's
Buddhism, as a child, was that what you mentioned earlier, that you started out one way and you ended up in what?
yeah. But I entered Buddhism in 1976.
And how did that change come about?
Change, just nothing. I didn't want to go. This, nothing. So my friend came, my classmate, longtime friend, came visit my office, and I have very interesting thing. I want to take it. Oh, sure. I'm very easygoing. He said, okay. So, but not until the weekend. I said, okay. So she called the temple. Okay, it's Saturday, okay, sure, no problem. So I just went there. Nothing. I wanted to change and whatever. So I went to introduce head priest, and I saw him walking around. Oh, I saw that kind of cleaning person. The very washed, worn out clothes, and then put in a broken, and nothing, and it was. Short gray hair, and I went to his office. He's sitting right there, and oh my God! So that's head priest, and he started talking. He's not fluent, talking, but very, impact my mind. And he said, yes. And I said, would you like to join us? And I said, yes. But I'm Christian. And he said, oh, no problem. So that's just first this and this and the Buddha scripture. And even said, that's just to pray for him. And a little later, the breast Buddha compact statue. And 30 on the altar, the breast for months. And so he gave it to me. And then I bought in the little, altar, little Buddha house. And I prayed in 1 hour, almost 1 hour every morning. The Buddha scripture, chant Buddha scripture.
Good for you. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what nationality would the priest have been?
Uh,
Your Buddhist priest. What would his
Buddha
nation?
priest?
Yeah,
Japanese.
he's Japanese.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we got Korea kind of settled. You're a little older now in China. Is that correct?
Oh,
You go to
yes.
You go to
I'm
China.
in
And what are your memories of China in school there?
I am in. Oh, you mean in Korea?
Oh, did she go
In
say
China.
you went from Korea to China? Your
Yeah,
dad.
China to Korea.
Oh, okay. You'd already been in China.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got. That's right. You were
Did you
2
went-
years old. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Elmer.
But you went back to China again
No,
after Korea?
no, never been to stay
Oh.
there.
Okay.
So that China is 1928 to 1932, early 32, and then 1933 to 1934, the Chil year in Korea.
Okay. So then your father's transferred back to Tokyo. Is that what?
Yes.
And that's when the earthquake.
No, earthquake is 1923.
It was
23.
way before,
Okay.
many years
I
before.
was trying to think of 1903. What date that?
San Francisco.
That was San Francisco.
1906.
1906.
Yeah. Okay, so your father goes back to Tokyo, is that correct?
Yes.
From Korea. And his job at Tokyo was what again?
Again, that
Imperial Guard.
utterly, it's not needed because only a few months, and he transferred to the attaché.
In America.
So, yes.
But
so
you-
we also, my father went first, and a couple of months later, we joined father at, joined in Washington, D.C.
But you said in Tokyo, was that the Imperial he was under?
Matsumoto-san, after you came back from China, wasn't he then in the Imperial Guard?
No, Imperial Guard is after he came back from the States.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
That's
later.
before he went to China.
so he came back from China.
Came back from China and stayed
then-
about less than a year and transferred to Korea. Korea.
Oh, Korea.
And 1 year later came back to Japan and several months. My father was a few months and then transferred to Washington, D.C.
Washington. Oh, okay.
And a couple of months later we moved in. We joined him.
Hmm.
We family.
Now,
So that went to 1934.
when the family moves to America, do you have to get any instructions in English or anything?
No, only my older sisters, a few, little bit studied in high school or middle school, whatever, English class, but not much. But I have nothing. And so, but little kid learned very fast. We could fight against each other, no problem. But we have tutor, what do you call it, the governess, whatever,
Mhm.
tutor. And when we came back from school, and the tutor's waiting. In a couple of hours, we studied writing, speaking, reading every day, and then go to school in the early hours, and learn that whole mathematics, whatever. But mathematics is not bad, because in those days American elementary school is Japanese elementary school is much higher.
Is more what?
Higher education.
Yeah.
And we know what they are doing already. But English, we don't know. But when mathematics, I can add very fast. So my teacher said, "Oh my God, you can do better than them."
You use a little
Soloba?
solo.
Abacus?
You use-
No, I didn't.
You didn't use that. I was
Later
amazed
on.
at how they.
They're like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, but that's later on.
Now, when you were, say, in Korea and or China and Korea, how would you dress? Would you dress traditional?
Yeah, same American.
Would you
kids.
dress
Yeah.
like you're dressed now? Did you?
Yeah,
Were there
exactly the same.
Were there special occasions that
Oh
were-
yes, in the when you're like a wedding, invited by wedding or somebody, we put kimono or something like that, And especially in New Year's, we dress kimono.
Mhm.
And we put a big ribbon on it,
And New Year's was when you had the 3 days for the cards. Did you still
Yeah,
do
that's
that?
yeah. We in Tokyo, I don't know. That's like my mother's,
Yeah.
the hometown.
But did you
we
do any
do.
of that?
But we still do,
Uh-huh.
and that's nowadays a tournament of our officially tournament. This is very very unique. I'm not good at it, but my brother and sister is very very fast. Just started the name of the poem author, and then bang, and throw away. So that means take it. So everybody like bang, like fighting. Hold that card sick, cardboard like that. That's a big box like this in 100, and that was swooning. We have big house, and we did it once or twice in January 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or whatever day. And we all, and cousins and aunts and everything, we lined up, and we did it. And
Now-
I only can take 3.
When you were in Japan, Korea, and China, your homes were probably somewhat traditional Japanese.
Oh yes.
But when you got to America, what did you?
Oh, we lived in same as usual Western people.
But I mean, was it a different type of home? It's something you had not, or was it like Tokyo?
No, totally different.
Totally different.
Yes.
Because you were. So when you came to America and went into an American home, what were your memories of that?
Oh, just a big.
Big, huh?
Everything is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we lived always in a big family. So we always in Japanese houses many rooms, but tatami room is flat, nothing. And when the guest comes, there's table and cushion, and everybody sit down like this, like that. And when everything's clean, every clear out, and always tatami room. 10 mat room, 8 mat room, 6 mat room, something like that. And when we came back, and before China Sino-Japan War started, we built. My mother, designed and built a big house and huge garden, and so that's 2 stories, and 11 mat room, 12 mat room with place owner. That is traditional, and upstairs same thing. Just a beautiful place of honor. You know, somebody guests can't stay upstairs. But and take all the sliding door. It's one huge room, and my father likes invite people and they have drinking and eating. So my mother was all running around the cooking and so forth, and 10, 20 people, and with maid and so forth.
And what would have been the traditional foods that your father and mother would have served?
My mother, Japanese cooking is very good. No, she does a little bit, Western, but she loves it. She's very good cook, and typical traditional Japanese food.
What would that have been?
Oh, that's very hard to explain, Or sushi is also, Sushi is, she made very good. But as a mixed all thing, a big, huge one. And all the vegetables and the eggs or something like that, beautifully did, and arrange it, assorted it. And, that's usually when you go to sushi shopping and immediately like this, that she does, but mostly mixed all the big plate and serve everybody. And sukiyaki and shabu shabu and
was
whatever.
beef?
Lots of seafood.
I was going to say, had beef gotten into their diet yet? Prior to World War II,
Not much.
there wasn't much beef there, was there?
In Japan?
A little bit of beef.
Oh yes, that's Russia.
Russia.
Only once a week,
Okay.
and once a week, about twice a week fish, and other chicken or whatever in very small amount.
And
Even rice too, Russian.
if you had, say, guests over, how were the bathroom and toilet facilities handled? How were they set up?
Oh, toilet is separated, and bathroom is individual, big bathtub, and everybody before go into the bathtub, that's very deep, and tiled or wooden floor, and wash it, clean up first, and they go into it. So next one can go into it's not dirty. So that's kind of and every day drain it and fill it and coal or what do you call it?
Eat it.
The wooden, what do you call it? The takigi. Wooden. What do you call that when you put them in a fireplace? What do you call
coal?
that? Log.
Log.
Wood log.
Wood.
Yeah, and with that wood log or coal, and they warm up. And there's usually wooden bathtub, or we have a special one with iron bathtub.
Made out of iron.
Yeah, because it's cold under, and then put the bottom board and stick in there and set it, and sometimes it's coming off and then you're oh my god, deep one and so floating. Bottom board is coming up.
And those baths get very, very hot.
It is.
We're
Did you live
Westerners.
Did you live in a Japanese house when you
Yes,
were there?
yeah.
Oh,
Many times.
Well, I've had to visiting, living as a guest.
oh.
But when we lived in Tokyo, it was Western style.
Oh, I see. So the same bathtub like here.
But in the typical Japanese home, the toilet is the stool and the floor,
Yes, yeah. But we had in a Western
You had
and
Western.
Western one and
Mhm.
Japanese one.
Oh, okay.
And all, of course, fresh.
That was very
But
modern.
some of them, yeah,
Yeah.
because mother didn't like it. So everything, you used to be honey bucket,
Yeah.
and coming like this and a plug, it smells bad. And we used to live like that, but after we came back from the States, my mother said, no way, so no more. And so she designed everything. And just my house is, especially tatami mat is bigger than a regular house and thicker, but this much. And that's very expensive, but anyhow, everything is my mother like special. And all the cold, have you ever seen that Japanese house, Ranma? It's cold and then that's air ventilation
Yes.
in the beautiful curving.
Yes.
That's what she ordered in the western part of special maker, and everything is by hand. And all like a living room, we call it here, and beautiful. And sliding door is much larger, usually this size, but about double size. And everything is special. And what calls pole, house, the pole is natural, no painting, no nothing. It's just natural and just varnished with a certain liquid. That's very nice. And also the real natural, just to peel out the skin and peel out in the place of honors under the ceiling, the big
The big what?
big pole like this, and then a little higher for place of honor. And my father put two Japanese sword on the place of honor, and Chinese written when he was given by Chinese dignitary scroll with and the other side is a beautiful Chinese gift. Is a name on the bottom, beautiful bows and everything. But that's all gone somewhere, That was so beautiful, this much big and beautiful moss green pottery. And also, I remember my father was attended Washington Treaty.
Oh,
In
Portsmouth, Maine,
yeah, and that was everybody attendance's signature.
1907.
That's where my I think my father visited there, and he it's big silver plate, and all the attendants' signature by themselves.
That was the Portsmouth Treaty settling the Russo-Japanese War.
You mentioned that your father was not in favor of the war, as was Yamamoto, and that they were friends in Washington. They played cards together.
Yeah.
Did they come to your house?
The Nagano, Admiral Nagano, yes, but that Admiral Yamamoto was killed in Eastern Asia.
But this is prior to
Oh, not in the
when you lived in Washington, D.C.
No, maybe he was, because my father liked to party, and all the military, navy, businessmen, government men, pack of house and drinking, and so we always, the staircase and hanging, we're like this and watching all the coming, hey kids, and it's already drinking. It's all how nice. Really envy them. We split a pajama and looking like this.
Can you remember much of the conversations at that time? Was was it apparent that there were problems already with?
Yes, and my father was talking to somebody, and somebody sneakily criticized my father.
He
That
what?
was his assistant.
Oh.
Criticized my father too, and he was so getting up to the blood up to the head, and she called him, and he was persuading like this, and I remember that he was crying in front of my mother. My God, my what's gonna happen? And I really wanted to know. You know, I was only 10 or something, and so and you don't repeat anything. And she knew my father is going to get rid of.
He was going
When he go back, but pretty long time because he's very respected person and people liked him. So that's why he until the Sino-Japan War, and he was of course transferred to Imperial Guard, not but he wanted to go to war before because he's a military man. He wanted to join because young people are fighting in the battlefield, and he wanted. But he really didn't work together with Chinese people. I don't know how he did, and he brought young men to study in Japan, and
From
he paid
China?
for him. Yes,
Hey,
but one was a very rich family, and they supported my father. And I remember, and he was, after the war, he came and visited us and something like, he didn't go back to China. And he studied and do business here and visit us and something like that. So after my father was working for civilian and half and half company for how many years? 6 years.
so you've moved back to Tokyo again. Your dad is in the Imperial Guard when he retires. Is that correct?
No, after came back to war, he was
Okay, then
that
what?
is the last. And when we came back from the States, and he was transferred to Imperial Guard. That was 1937, early 1937.
And
And till June of 1938, and then he went to China for war.
okay, so he's back to China again. Second time?
No, that's the first time for war. Oh no, father. I mean, the first time in Tenshin, yes, that's second time. But that was war. Second time is war.
And so we're talking, what we say, 37, 38? Is it
38, 39.
38, 39. And Elmer, with your history, 38, 39, you have the Chinese going, how far into China have the Japanese gotten by then?
Well, they're past Nanking.
They're past Nanking?
Yes, they're down, getting close to
Chongqing?
French Indochina.
Yeah, Chongqing is where
Chongqing?
Chongqing is pretty much inland, and where the Chiang Kai-shek was there, and
Yes.
he tried to escape because he was getting. Oh no, he was still there until Mao Zedong came in
Yes.
1949. But
Yes.
he was there, yes.
Mhm.
But the Chongqing, almost close to. That's why we have. I remember the song. It's to the marching to the Chongqing, marching to Chongqing, and something like that. But couldn't make it.
Yeah. See, Chongqing is west of the coast. It's inland China, but Japanese troops had come down. They were threatening French Indochina, which is now Vietnam. But they were down in that area.
So they pretty much, how about going back to the west into China? Had they How far back were they into that part?
Well, not too far. They were
Pretty much on the coast.
pretty much on the coast.
And what's you're able now to read and understand newspapers and listen to the. Was the radio a lot of source of information in Japan today?
Yeah, something like Japan is war. Japan did sunk to something like that, but they are hiding the information. When the beginning of the war, you mean World War II?
Yeah.
World War II, beginning of the war, that's always victory, like that. But it started, losing. They didn't talk too much, and but Saipan was done, or Iwo Jima, and so that kind of thing happened. How many died, and everybody killed themselves, and all the soldiers, died down by themselves, something like that.
Well, I'm going to back up a little bit. When your father was in China, what would his position have been? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's.
And when in the late 30s, 37, 38?
China. Oh, that he was a general.
So,
The war, yes, 1938, 1939. That was general.
and
He's commander.
does he write home in letters and things?
Oh, yes.
And so what, can you remember any of it?
Yeah, he has called war diary in one book. It starts from before the landing to mainland China. He started writing. That was 1938, July 1st. And I brought, I think, in the bag, and I wanted to show you. And it's a small notebook, and write it every day, mostly every day, whatever thing, and what did in it go about to landing or something like that. And he made he did a Chinese poem, Chinese poem, and beautiful poem he wrote. That's really I liked. When he came back and showed me, and he read it to me. But too bad, too beautiful writing, and sometimes I can't read. But I remember that when they landed in a bay, it's called, it's a southern part of bay, that's in I think in Chinese, Bias Bay. And there was full moon, and in the sea, the bay is just calm like oil, spread oil. And in the sky,
This is his poem?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
the sky is, full moon is on the sky. And it's really romantic, but it's not romantic that they have the landing and the fight. But anyhow, it's a beautiful poem he wrote, and very, very.
Can you translate those for us, or we could have
Oh
them?
yeah, I think I'm going to try.
I mean, the diary, the whole.
Yeah.
Would you ever interested in
That
reading
is
any of those
very,
things?
very. And the other is it's hard to listen because he just, what do you call it, simplified by himself, and it's hard to read. But he's very good brush writing. Everybody come and ask for brush writing when he was going to war. After he came back, and during the war, all the young soldiers come and visit and like this, and all of this stuff, and ask him to, Japanese flag, and when they go to war, everybody, write something, and have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
And that's called taski, and with the tied on here, and the sun, Japanese flag, sun is on the
Sun.
red, and put, hold it in the red and white, and tied it back, and people writing something. So everybody come visit my father and write something, and so he wrote it, on the brush writing beautifully.
Could you ever want to read that, Elmer? Would that be of any
Read
interest?
them?
To read that diary, would that be of any interest to you?
I've forgotten so much of my
You write
reading.
you write English, Japanese, right?
I used to,
Oh,
yeah. At one time I knew 3,500 kanji, but
well, that's good.
yeah. Now I'm
That's more than I do.
maybe I know 200 now.
Can you interpret that for us in English, so we could put it with your record?
Oh, all right.
Will you do that? Okay. I think it would. You know, those personal diaries from. He's a general now, right?
Oh, but that's some part. But in some part it says, "Oh, my father wrote this," like this. Anyhow, so it's beautiful writing, but sometimes I can't read too much.
Well, but I think it would be wonderful to have it part of your history, and because you read some of these diaries from people who every day recorded what they did. And you just don't understand how bad things can get until you read these diaries. Now, you said where did you live while your father was in China during the war in China?
We were in Tokyo.
In Tokyo
Yes.
proper.
That after new house, my mother designed.
And the news, you said, was always quite good.
Yeah, quite good in the beginning.
And then how did the attack on Pearl Harbor come through?
Oh, that's one story, because my father never believed that Japan did that. And when he came back, that was I think 1941, December 8th in Japan. And he came back from office. And I can't believe it. Japan did it. Stupid. And so he was so mad. And so that was already did it. He was so, depressed about it. And also that when end of the war, he came back from office, and emperor's message to the people. He was shocked,
That the emperor surrendered?
Yeah, and because he was so close to the emperor when he was in military guard, imperial guard, and he knew he was against the war. He didn't want to go.
The emperor. Yes.
No. People said, Western people didn't understand. Sometimes he did it. He was joined to go into the war. No, he didn't. He's a very peaceful man, and when want to do the diplomatic. So my father cried after he came back.
Can you remember what was said when Jimmy Doolittle bombed Japan right after the war started a few months later?
That was, I think, April 18th. Oh, you mean Japan? April? Bomb in Hawaii?
No, when the Americans bombed Japan.
Yes.
With the B-25 bombers. There weren't many of them, 16 I believe. And they bombed Tokyo and different cities.
Yes.
How was that? Can you remember much about that?
Oh, yes, because I was almost killed.
Oh, okay.
In my life, I was only dead 3 times. Well, I'm still alive, but during the war, close to the end of the war, I was working for war prisoner bureau, which belonged to the government, and that was scattered in all the important part is all scattered in leased school building or something like that. So it's very close to our home, for only four stations from my home. And so I worked there until war ended. So I was in the at the lunchtime or something, and so I was with my friend, the American-born Japanese girl. You know, she working because he was born in America, and my parents wanted to go back to Japan, and she came back, and she's living in Japan. So she spoke both languages fluently. But we were very good, close friends, and so we just having lunch and so forth, and all of a sudden, warning silent. Oh my God! And then about 10-15 minutes, real silent. That's air raid. And look at that, P-51 is right there, and all the people going to the shelter, and we went to shelter full, no way. So, oh my God, and P-51 is rolling around, and I can see the pilot. And they said, what shall we do? And there's a building right there, a school building. And so let's run to that building and go into the building and under the roof. And so we just run and bang, bang, run, and that bullet is coming. If I deviate this way, I was killed.
No.
I'm not here. So, and both of us run, and then how I can fly right. I'm a good runner. So anyway, we jump into the building, and we look at each other. We survive, and still boom, 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 boom. and look at and they are handkerchief waving at us, and oh my God, that was second time I almost dead, killed.
What was the first time?
First time I was 11 years old, came back alone from school, and there's a local train in this way, and only station master and the two workers on the station, in the office. And I just walked to the little girl, skinny little girl, walked to the, and I didn't even notice this car is started, and that train is coming down, and just a little bit wider than regular, railroad. I was in between, and I was standing like this, almost, phew, like this. But I was standing like this, and the station master came back, and a dead body. They thought, oh my God, kids are alive.
They thought you were going to die.
And I'm standing like this. What's going to happen? And I didn't tell this thing to the parents.
You didn't
I
tell
never
them?
speak up.
So what was the third time?
Third time was after the war. That was the middle of 1950s. And I was working with my boss and myself in the small office, little calculator company. So he was younger than me, and he said, Junko, I'm going to take a customer for lunch. Would you take care of it? Sure, no problem. After you come back, I go to lunch. So and I stayed there at the old building. In those days, after the 50s, it's the old building. I think all the buildings is all ruined, and we don't have any heater in the winter time, very cold winter time. So we have gas heater. And I was alone in, whatever, typing and writing or something, waiting for my boss to come back. And gas heaters, it's not really quite properly. And I didn't even thought about it. And I started getting headache and like a queen, I said, oh my God, and so I just can't think about it. And then my headache is like boom, boom, boom. And finally it's the thing, hey Junko, you can go to lunch. Yes sir, I will go. And then I go out to pick up my bag, handbag first, and close the door and going out. I don't know, I don't remember. And I was sitting, it's cold. I don't know how long I was lying on the concrete. And I woke up, oh my God. And still at behind. And if I stayed another hour or two, I was dead, or maybe an hour or something. And I couldn't walk. I just stand up and I couldn't walk, and my legs just this joint is not can properly hold it. And I sit down for a while, and then I went out for fresh air, and I couldn't eat because I not feeling. So I just and come back and I don't feel and could tell boss and I'm going home. He said, oh, you look very pale. So I didn't tell anything about that. And so I go back. And I have to go back. My home is about our national train and change to another local train for another 10 minutes and walk 10-15 minutes to my home. So I barely made it at home and said, Mother, I don't feel good. I didn't tell that either. Mother didn't know. Nobody knows until later on. But my mother didn't. So next day, my clear fade. It was kind of weak, but I never stayed in bed, and I go back to work again. That's the third time.
Well, you're
So maybe I'm
you've
still...
used them all up then, haven't you? There are no more.
I don't think so. And so that's why I'm living, more than my family.
I want to. Your dad, at some point, has a stroke. When did that occur?
Right after August 15th in Japan, was the war, it's over. And then October 12th, in the same year, he woke up, and I was up, and he came to the usual way, and first woke up cigarette or pipe or whatever she does. He came. No, I was up and I was outside and washing things and to make it dry, and I was outside, and that was winter, cold. October is very cold. So I heard that shoji slide door is like a rattling. This is my, and then mother screamed, "Junko!" And I went up, and the father was lying, it's totally unconscious. And oh my God! So that was a very heavy stroke. And he is tall, almost 6 foot. And so we couldn't move. He shouldn't move, but we didn't know that. We moved him to bed, futon. And he was totally, unconscious. And called doctor. And he said, "This is stroke, but don't move anymore." So anyhow, so 3 days he was unconscious. And he finally woke up, but half paralyzed. Right side and left side's brain is paralyzed. But he was, very tough military man. So he tried to move and to exercise by himself. And finally, he couldn't write very well, but he write, and speech is very bad. We could understand, but anyhow, but he could.
How old was he now, Junko?
He died 77, but when he had stroke, only 59,
Wow.
very early.
So he had a long
Yeah.
time.
And at that time, after the Colonel Mashburn is landed with MacArthur, General MacArthur, in September 2nd.
No, say that again. I didn't quite understand.
General MacArthur, you know,
Yes.
the book, that book author. I mean, Colonel Mashburn, retired colonel, army colonel, my father's best friend, and he followed General MacArthur, landed in Yokohama on 1945 September 2nd. And he went to Tokyo, and so he visited us, and they get together and they do some work together or something, and they meet each other, and he visited our house and so forth, and all of a sudden my father, less than 2 months, he got stroke. And
I wanted to back up a little. You were in Tokyo for the whole war, is that correct?
yes,
Can you remember the fire bombings in Japan when the B-29 started
oh
dropping?
yes.
And
The first one is they raid, and not too far from house. There is a military airplane factory, the famous Nakajima manufacturing, and that was big one. That was aimed by bombing. So that one, and that was a little bit deviated, and bomb was thrown down, and my people who we know was in the shelter, and shelter that the bomb was not in the shelter, not on the shelter, but aside, so that the dirt pushed and choked to death. Two kids and wife was killed in the shelter. And so fortunately we have, the train, local train is running couple houses before there. It's like a ditch so that's helped with a little bit shake. We were in a big shelter, and we heard it. We felt and shake, and so we came out, and siren was, release siren was going on. So we went out from shelter, and people are around and running around so forth and shouting like we hear. That was a day raid. And night raid is worse. Almost my office friend house is all burned out, and relatives all killed. And my best friend, friend's house in the little center of the city in Tokyo was burned out like a fire of sea. And anyhow, so that was, and close to the ending of the war, every night, morning, in silent, and I gave up, and I don't want to go to the shelter, and then sneak out from the shelter, and say, "Where's JUNCO?" And my mother was looking for, "Where's JUNCO?" And where is it? And I was in the house and sleeping. So my mother said, "Are you crazy?" So
I'm gonna shut this off. We're near to. Why don't we, Elmer? I'm gonna answer some more questions. And if you want to, and all of you back here, if you've got things you remember, but let's take a little bit of break, and we'll put a little more on the next tape. We're pretty close to done, but you've got so many stories that I hate to miss any of them. And Elmer, if you've got
Side
some
story.
things you want to bring up that it's triggered you, I'd love for you to have chip in but why don't we just take a few minutes here and stretch and
I think it's too long sitting. You have to
Yeah.
put it like this, otherwise the blood circulation is
Yeah.
very bad.
is 5 sessions, 10 hours
Oh.
to
Yeah.
do an interview. Bob
Yeah.
Neiman, you remember Bob?
How many hours now?
For you, we've talked 2 hours.
Yeah.
Already? Oh,
Well,
it's like a,
Would
to
it-
me it's very
Would you
short.
want to get up and move a little, Elmer?
well, I was going to say, I feel pretty worn out.
Yeah, I was.
All right, so
Would you like to go home and I
I
can
think I
finish?
better go home.
Okay.
And if you don't mind,
No, I
Your
do not.
name is Emery? Is that right? Your name is
Elmer.
Elmer. Elmer Stone?
Yes.
S-T-O-N-E.
And yeah, like a rock. You know, Ishi, this.
You know what, Harry? This is the first time, and I haven't talked Japanese because here I don't feel like it is all American, and I think everybody is human being. So anywhere I go, it's I don't care. My face is Japanese,
Yeah.
or you are American for the face. I don't really mind, you know. So I don't communicate with. I mean, I don't see each other with Japanese people. This is the first time I really talk Japanese.
I've forgotten. Ima zenzen wakarimasen.
そんなことありません。
It's
Well,
anyway, I
we're gonna get Elmer
enjoy,
home.
enjoy
Yeah,
shimashita.
very much.
Just,
You look very good.
I'll read the
Isn't
book.
he?
Ono yomimashou.
読んでください。
Surikara denwa de kakimasu.
で、感
So,
想。
Paul, we need Junko-san's Odenwa Nubango
Yeah,
number.
I'll get my book.
I'm going to stop this.
Well, we'll have to meet again. We have a very good friend who's also Junko,
Oh, really?
Koike-san, and she comes down sometimes. So maybe we can get together for dinner some night.
Yes, that's very nice.
Japanese dinner.
Anyhow, so that's.
Do you go to Japanese food sometimes?
No, I'm not. I like anything. I eat
Yeah.
anything. I like Chinese, I like American food, Russian food, Spanish, anything. I can eat
Yeah.
anything.
Hmm.
Very easy.
I like Japanese food.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
But we go to a place called Matsuri.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's sometimes I don't go much, but it's very good.
Yeah,
Very
it's sort
good
of
chef.
like a little neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, you are living near close by?
Yes.
Oh,
But I mean,
that's
like it's
good.
in Japan, neighborhood type of restaurant.
Oh, that's good.
So,
You know, but sushi is really penetrating into American society. You
no.
know? Used to be
Oh, yes.
when I was
Denwa, please.
Sen 760
760.
843. Wait a minute. Okay. 834. I'm sorry. 834
834
9690.
9690. We got that. Well, we look forward to seeing you again.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was telling her about our other Junko.
Oh, Junko-san, yes. Our Junko-san had a birthday on Tuesday night.
She's
And
older than you.
Yeah.
She was born in 1925.
Oh, 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
She must be a very determined person.
she is a very determined person, and she works very, very hard. She works
Well,
too
wait a
hard.
minute. She was born in what month?
It's Tuesday night, May.
May?
Was her birthday, Tuesday night.
May, Tuesday is what day was it?
25th,
25th?
wasn't it? 25th Tuesday?
Mhm.
What's today? I don't know.
Today
Anyway,
is
it's 25th.
28th.
25th. She was 81 years old.
81?
81.
Oh, I thought she was 86. Oh, no.
No,
Yeah,
81.
Sorry.
25?
You meant this.
1925?
No.
No,
No.
May 25th.
My mistake.
Uh,
Much you guys.
May 25th.
25th.
In,
Well, she was 81, so
oh, so 1929.
yeah, I guess that would be.
Because
Yeah.
Peggy is same year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, we're all getting old.
oh,
Yes.
don't say that.
Yeah. Would you hold this for me?
I'm
please?
August. I was born in August 6th, and I'm gonna be 84.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, you're doing
You
all
have-
right.
You have very interesting story, Matsumoto-san.
そう
I
です
enjoyed
か。あ
very
りがとう
much.
ございます。いろいろお世話になりました。
Well, we will make a point of seeing you again. So
Yes,
we
the-
don't live too far away. I mean,
Yeah,
we
that's
live
easy,
close,
that's-
close to each
Go ahead now, and I'll come.
other. Hold on, okay.
I can.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to
Nice
keep you here that
meeting you.
long. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Well, I knew you'd enjoy Junko because when I met her, she was such
We
a
all finished?
such a pleasure.
No, they want
My
to.
medication is due at
Okay.
11:30, so
Okay. Well,
it's
you're
a little bit late.
you're a little bit late. Go ahead and take a break. We'll come back here and.
Oh, got it.
So this,
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Miss Joyce.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear
We'll
you're on
see you
Samoa,
again.
too.
Sure, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, you're on Samoa, right? You were on Samoa?
I was.
Yeah, so was my husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
what?
Western Samoa or Americans?
American Samoa.
American Samoa, yeah.
Tutuila
That's really, yeah.
and Leone.
Oh, yeah, well, I
He was
spent 7 months in, in Tutuila.
7 months at Tutuila, Leone.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
What year was he there?
1943.
Oh,
You were there before that.
I was there in 42.
Yeah, well, he just, he went over in, I think the end of 42. I have to look at the book. but
Mhm.
The end of 42.
Oh,
How about somebody
Oh.
said they were with MacArthur?
Yeah, it was the end.
stuff here
Yeah, so at the end of 42.
that I had, yeah.
yeah, well,
I'll just sit
that's,
in here for
I
you.
love Samoa.
Yeah.
I love the people.
Yeah, he did talk about a lot. Torrance has a lot of Samoan people. Torrance,
Yeah,
so
I
that-
do.
And he used to run into Angela and Samoan.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
make great football players.
Yeah.
Big boys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, nice seeing you, Wendy.
Okay.
Okay, good television. You look so good.
Well, thank you.
Actually, he's in good shape except when he gets tired, you know?
Okay. See you soon.
This is really a very easy machine to manipulate.
Excuse me. I'm going to the bathroom.
Yes, go right ahead. Do you know where it is?
This one.
Do you guys know? Do you know where it is?
What is it?
It's downstairs.
Upstairs. You have to take the elevator down or the stairs.
sisters that survived what they did. And I just want to finish up the.
Well, the one brother that her oldest brother, the one that she adored, died, of course, when he was like 19. Her other brother, she didn't get along too well. Her father brought her up to be independent.
Yeah,
And that was unusual in that age.
very much.
And her brother was old world, and you know, you have to do it. And not, but I think she remember she told me, I asked her if she ever went through any of the marriage introduction ceremonies, you know, that they have these ceremonies and she said something like, I think she went through 22 or 23. She didn't like any of them, so she never married.
And she had a sister that survived?
Well, yeah,
We didn't-
her older sister died quite a few years ago. We were still living in Palos Verdes. And I don't know when her other
Well, I
two
haven't gotten to
sisters
the
died.
part. No.
She had 3 sisters and 2 brothers.
Uh,
The 3 brothers, but you know, one died very young before she was born. Her older brother died when he was 19, I think.
And then she
Her
had a
younger
brother,
brother, I
and 2 more
think he
sisters.
was 70 or something, and they did not get along at all. There was
Well, we still
friction.
got to get her here to America, you know, to live, you know, to go through that routine.
Well, she came over with KC. She worked for, I forget what the electronics company was in Japan. And then she came over with KC, they sent her over, KC Electronics sent her over here, I believe, to work, to manage their office, be the general manager. And that's how we met her. She was our client. I mean, the vice president of advertising was a close friend of ours, and when he took the job, he brought us in as the agency. So that's how we met her. And then she was going to, they closed the office and she was going to go back to Japan. And sold up everything, and she came and stayed with us she was going to stay with us for about 2 weeks. Well, we, you know, had a party and got rid of all her stuff. When a friend of ours, who got a Japanese magazine, he was a magazine rep, and it was a Nikkei Electronics, but it was a Japanese electronics magazine. And he called JUNCO and said, I don't understand Japanese, can you help me out for a while? And that was 20-some odd years ago.
Well, she is, without a doubt, as classy a Japanese lady as I've ever met.
Well, it's
Yeah.
really funny, because when we go someplace, sometimes she's like, I'll never forget, we were in Disneyland one time, and we looked at some people, and she said, oh, they're low-class Japanese. JUNCO, you're a snob.
But I was almost convinced, without even knowing, that Elmer would want to meet her and have her over, because he is also a class act.
Yeah.
You know, he grew up in Idaho, and there was one Japanese family in the whole town. And the son was his best friend, and every night after school, the Japanese boy had to spend an hour learning Japanese, and Omer was with him every day after school. So he moved to LA, lived by himself in a one-room, house, and went through UCLA Law School. And the world, he could see we were going to go into war with Japan. So he said, well, I'm going to go in the Marine Corps. So he enlisted in the Marine Corps. He was wounded at Guadalcanal and went through some of the other islands. War ended, he got out, started working for Douglas Aircraft. And because he spoke Japanese, they took him always to Japan to help with the selling of the Douglas aircraft. Well, he became their chief consul for Douglas. Well, McDonnell bought out Douglas, and he didn't like old man McDonnell, so he went to Raytheon, became their chief consul, and that's where he met Paula, his second wife. Well, they had a daughter, and for the first 2 years, they had a nanny who was not allowed to speak English to her. Up through grade 12, she went to school all year long, 6 months in Japan with a Japanese family, back here in America with their family, and the Japanese girl with them. Then she went on to college, became an attorney,
Yes, I understand.
and became an instant interpreter, which included the Emperor of Japan, interpreting for him. And she flies all around the world on jets and things, you know, and lives a great life, and just, you know, and she speaks other languages. You know?
Yeah, she said she spoke Spanish.
Yeah. So she's just, you know, they made their daughter into a very valuable person.
Yeah.
I hope she knows where we are. But did she say what she was going to do when she left up there at JUNCO?
She's coming back up. She just went to the restaurant.
Oh, good. Hey, what do you say, young fellow?
Nothing yet.
You got my cap?
Are we doing anything right now?
I'm putting stuff in there.
Okay, so,
I'm gonna run downstairs. I had back surgery, and I get real stiff if
God, I'm sleepy.
Did she come back when I went down?
No, she down. I know she was going down to the restroom.
She's probably looking at the airplane. Well, you must have a great time with her at your house, because she would be so nice to have as a you know, a person to live with.
Been together a long time. She just stayed. She worked for Tommy for 18 years before he closed the business, and when my husband died, it just was, you know, natural for her to come with me when I moved out here.
And from where?
Palos Verdes.
That's where the business was.
Well, we were in Torrance, we were in Beverly Hills.
And what was the business?
Long Beach. High-tech advertising.
High-tech.
Business to business, high-tech. We had our clients were Sony, Motorola Semiconductors.
The big ones.
The big one, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
But all in the electronics end of it. Yeah.
yes. She's got. Would you make sure you got all your stuff back before we? I'm gonna.
They never give it.
Change this around. I put Elmer in this chair because it's more comfortable.
Oh, I think so.
Just, yeah.
When you have a chance to meet Elmer Stone and his wife at their home, where it's more relaxed, and you're going to find that he knows an awful lot about Japan and history.
Well, maybe getting tired. I understand. He's, you know, he's a very good memory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know,
Amazing.
Japan history better
Yeah,
than you do.
Japanese history.
well, he
And
was,
also, but sometimes the ear, you know, mixed up. You know.
but see, he, like yourself, was involved with very high-level Japanese businessmen. You know, like your father was. He had a lot of them as clients, as you know, for his law firm in Japan. He was there 5 years, as an attorney, and so and then with his daughter, being raised half her life in Japan, I can say Domo arigato, or
Well, the wife still.
his daughter, his first wife. They had two children, and they got divorced. And Paula, his second wife, but they've been married for quite a long time. It's their daughter that was raised part-time in Japan, and for the first 2 years of her life, she had a Japanese nanny who was not allowed to speak English to her. So she spoke better Japanese than she did English. Let me see if I can make this thing crank up. Let's see what happens. We have it double recorded. We have a tape in here with sound, and so okay, we're back in action. I wanted to ask, we didn't talk about your mother and when she died and what her life was like after your father died, and how that part of your family existed.
After my father died, he was really shocked and totally getting older and older and older, but just reading books, and she had before my father died, she was a very healthy person, but she likes to do outside, garden work, and trees and flowers, whatever. And she's an early bird always. She was and she woke up before we were, still in bed, and she went out by herself, and Japanese garden, we have very beautiful Japanese garden, and stepstone is about this size, and in between about this, and she was shovel, and something doing in the ground. So she went out in the just be quiet sunrise, and she fell and hit the corner of stepstone.
Whoops. I'm sorry. I'm just checking to see if you had it going. Yeah, that's good.
That's when.
Yeah, volume's right. Yeah.
Okay. Had Dave check. Go ahead.
And crack tailbone. And after that, she couldn't move, but the very stand up and the little walk, and people help, and it's getting a little better, but always pain there. And then father died March 11th.
And he was how old?
He was 77.
Mhm.
in March 11th, 1963. And then after funeral, and then he's weaker and weaker and weaker. And she was sometimes laying down in bed and sitting there, and no more heavy work, no more cooking and so forth. So, sister, I never married, so when we there, we help, and after father died, so we sell the house, and my brother had to marry. No, that's the one. After my father died, and she was okay, but a little bit okay, but so I went to the States. So after 2 years later, I went to the States, and to see my father's friend, and Colonel Masher at Laguna Beach. He was already retired. And stayed there almost 10 months. And came back to Japan, and brother married, and she wanted to, move. He wanted to move to Tokyo for business, so sold the house, and we all split each other, and my brother rented, a very huge house, so my mother stayed with brother's family. And then next year, she was almost in the bed,
She was.
She was. They only come out for lunch, dinner, or something, but she couldn't eat much, so. And so we other sisters and myself have to work. So every weekend come and see mother, and she always reading Bible or novel, and very quiet, and he never say. It's very hurt, the back, So she's very quiet and never complain about pain. Just so quiet, and and getting weaker, and next year, 1967, brother married 66, and 1967, my youngest sister going to marry in September, and she wanted to, survive until her baby girl married, but she couldn't make it, and she died in 1967, August 10th, no 11th. No, not July 18th. July 18th of 1967. And so at the same age, at 77.
What did your brother do?
My brother, he established his own company. He worked for some domestic and trading, both kind of.
But during the war,
No, he didn't. He went to, in the war, very last few months, he was in school, and he had to go to, had the red pink strip or whatever. No, red, we call the red strip. So he has to join the war. But he's supposed to go outside Japan, but the war was ended before, some training course.
Uh-huh.
So he didn't really fight.
Well,
So that's my 2 years older.
Was there much said on the news or in the papers about the incendiary bombings of the Japanese cities and how destructive they were? Were the citizens aware of, like Tokyo lost 100,000?
I think the people really can't win because we have no natural resources, nothing, because very, very poor thing because food is bad, everything is Russian, and clothes, outfit you can't buy, you have to go, Russian or a ticket, limited ticket.
I'm not sure I understand the term Russian. What when you say
Russian, that, yeah, what do you call that, rice?
oh
What do you call it? My pronunciation is not
rice?
really good.
Yeah.
Ration or?
Ration.
Ration.
Oh, everything's rationed. Okay.
From rice to meat,
Yes,
even vegetable too.
Yeah, same way in America.
It did.
Yeah, it was all ration.
But anyway, but more and more, better than Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Japan is very bad, and so people think this can't be win. People are dying outside and bombing, dead in the homeland, and train is bombed and only 2 cars left or something like that. Because I walked from house to the office every day, walk from 4 stations with
Wow.
my friend. And
Wow.
my friend is farther than me. And she walked to where I standing, and we go together. Sometimes, wave at military car passing, and they pick up girls.
Yeah.
So they did, not every day, but
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And sometimes, farmers, a cow is pulling a wagon. So he said, "Hi, you girls, come on, get on." So I get in one car. So they don't, the office people didn't get angry with us because it's hard time, walking 4 stations every day. So anyway, that kind of thing. And nobody trusts, can't win. But
how did the people feel about the government getting them into the war when Japan was, bombed and had no food? Were they still wanting to fight?
oh, yes, that's what we were told. And everybody is, training for how to distinguish the fire or something after bombing. And my father was sometimes going to the meeting and outside, and the little stores, the manager coming to talk, talking about how to do it and teaching us. And I said, what a stupid thing. And my father listened, oh, that's very good. He didn't ever, insult people. He said, okay, good luck. Do your best. He said, hi, General, thank you very much, and something like that. So, and so funny. But my mother said, no, I don't want to go to that kind of meeting. We will lose anyway. So that.
Well, you had your sister then. She didn't get a husband when she was 3 or 4 years old. They didn't have a pre-marriage for her.
Oh, you mean her older sister?
Or
Already married, yes.
But did they have did they want her when she was young? Did they pick a husband for her?
Yes, but when he married the husband, she didn't pick up because she fell in love with somebody, but parents didn't agree because that's not good, something like that. And she was very obedient, and she says, okay. So finally, my sister's husband came back from New York. That is my late brother's very, very close friend. So he was very good looking and very good businessman, and mutual teacher introduced him to her, and since they fell in love and then married.
So,
So my
in your family, are you the only one left now?
yes,
You're the only one.
one if they never married.
Yeah. Well, that happens, you know. Some people think you might have been smart.
Yeah, people said, "Oh, you have no problem." I guess so.
Now,
But
you then, in some way, moved to America. And what brought that on?
I like America. I was always longing to visit or stay, but you know that the war broke out, and so that's might be impossible. That's what I thought. And war was over, and I worked. You know, first I worked for a trading company, and I didn't, you know, speak English very well, but you know, didn't have to because all the work is not really much to control the English. Boss is American. Bosses are American. That's very good. First I the Mitsui and Company. That one, but that's trading company, chemical division, and I quit that one, and then I went to. I have my resume right there, and then a small company, supply company, American supply company to all the other, you know, military or whatever, and so that's I don't know why, but I don't speak very good English, but whoever, maybe I was interested by very highly respected, you know, people in some company, and he was very influential, so introduced, and the president of the company hired me, and he put me in his secretary.
Okay.
And I was sitting in the secretary room, and it's about, you know, what shall I do? But it's okay that I worked about, during that day I studied in every day, or whatever I could, and to learn more English. And then I left about 6-7 months because it's kind of pressure, you know, myself. And the boss is very nice, but so I left, and I work trading company, and that was a very good company, you know, the Jewish boss, and nice people, and two bosses, and the boss's father is involved, and they are from New York, and the main office is in New York. So, and I learned a lot of things, and so I can travel to the, what do you call the room, you know, the making fabric or something in the northern part of Kanto area as a prefecture. So visit there and find out, and about 5 years, and very good. And I learned more English and how to more document shipping and so forth. And then I left that company, and I learned to stenograph, went to class, and more higher ranking, you know, more better. And that
So somewhere other than someone sends you to work over here in America, is that it?
no, and then and then I the more in between, but I worked in the big. I think you might heard that big. This is behind the scene of pushing government. Continental Grain in the New York office, in their office in all over the world, and I worked for them, I worked for them as a secretary for 3.5 years. And a very lazy boss, and so finally New York office fired him and sent the director in a Paris office, sent to Japan. Oh, he was the one teaching whole thing, and he was a retired Air Force colonel. Such a good looking and very kind and very steady, and never scold anybody. So I learned from that, and I secretary for him for almost 2 years, because he was only year and 8 months or something. So I just whole year where he was in position, and he left, and then sent another man came, and he's a German origin, but he's a very nice man, but he's not capable, and he's kind of a little bit lazy. I don't like lazy. I like always like go,
Yeah.
go. So, and he fell in love with me. He's married. And oh my God! And I was working, and he was still. I said, "Why not? You know, it's at the end of the year." And Mr. Bottle, and you can go home because I take care of everything. All the stuff is gone because near the New Year's holiday. So so you please go home. You know, you don't have to. And she is, oh, okay, and something like that. And he came to me and tried to kiss me, and I said, oh no, this is not Japanese custom. Kiss and she blushed. I said, thank you very much, and then Happy New Year, and she left. We left. Anyhow, so and I don't want to stay this company anymore. So, and there's some.
I don't think it's fine. Go ahead.
And so I work out, and I asked my mother, went back home, and Mother, I want to go to the States. And so, what for? She said, I want to go to America and work there. I said, okay. And can I write to Mr. Colonel Mashiver and accept me? And I wrote, it's okay, so if you want. So, and I wrote a letter. And I thought my mother said, no, why you got married? And so that's what I anticipated. But my mother said, if you want, if I stop you, you will go anyway. So, so you go ahead and write Colonel Rusher what he would say and what he would help you. So, and I wrote a letter, long letter, and right after a week or two he received, he sent her, okay, you come, and he sent $1,000 ticket and airfare. Other than that, the airfare, and go and get the Japan airline, you get the ticket. So, and whenever you're ready, let me know. So that's it. And he said, "Ma, I was so happy and cried." And she said, "I thought, Mother, you would say, stop me." And said, why not? So you can go, and but you have to take good care of yourself and behave yourself. And sure I will. So I left 1965. I remember May 28th, I jumped in the plane, and all of my friends and see me off at the airport, and my family, and except my mother. Mother couldn't go to. So, and then I left, and I went to Hawaii and see my brother-in-law's Nisei friend, doctor. Stayed 3 days there, and very end of the day, I arrived in Los Angeles. And something wrong with my flight to, arrived a long time because my father, Colonel Mashburn sent something, and small airplane or something, and then I couldn't go to meet Colonel, so I called the Colonel from the airport. And something, time differential or something, and maybe travel agent made a mistake and something wrong. So he said, "Okay, get the helicopter, and okay, you go and check with them, and you go get." So I, whatever Colonel said that, and I got the. This wasn't cost anything, just helicopter at Orange County Airport. And Colonel Mashburn was waiting with, with pipe and like this. And I saw it, I was so happy, and I run and hold it and kiss him. Oh my God, you are already Americanized. So, and he couldn't drive because he's getting old, so taxi drove. And then I don't know where it was, and so he had his car, and he can drive that short distance to home. And beautiful, Laguna Beach, Oceanside, and panorama view or something. And oh my God, this is totally different from Japan. And flowers all over, bougainvilleas, hibiscus, and rose garden, and beautiful house. Oh my God. So whatever you want, see your time. And then, so I said, I'm going to take you dinner tonight. Get just take a nap and pretty up and put kimono on, and so whenever you're ready, let me know. It's okay. So that is the Laguna Beach Hotel. It's one of the famous spot. So I put kimono on and pretty up, and so let's go. And she wrote it, and. He was something kind of planning. It was just a funny thing. And so we parked the car, and a belly packing guy came and parked the car, and so we went. And I have Japanese fan, and so Colonel and I just walked toward, and old people, there's lots of old people there, and everybody, yak. All of a sudden, we too came in, totally silent, and look at Colonel. He says, this is Japanese young girl. His widow. So year before he lost his wife, and he's alone. And so there's a young Japanese kimono girl. Everybody stopped and looked at him, so curious. And Colonel was so happy, so everybody make it a lot. JUNCO, that's what I wanted to see.
That's funny. Well, you didn't have a job then when you came here. You had to find a job?
No. And the Colonel already arranged Disneyland for a guide for Japanese pavilion or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Disneyland and interviewed it and said, how soon can you? And they find out I have no working visa. And oh my God, JUNCO, what did you stupid thing you had? So if you can't work, stay and whatever you want. Stay. So I said, okay. So he just feed me and dress me or all kind of things. She paid everything, and my brother's daughters. he really helped me and said if I go to if I can work Japanese company or something. So I went downtown to see my brother-in-law's, friend. But no, it's the same thing, you can work. So, yeah, so I came back and I told him. And I went to San Francisco to find something to do. And it didn't work out. So I came back again. She says, "Oh, Junko, don't worry." So you want to stay or you want to stay? You want to go to sightseeing or you want? So it's one thing I want to do. So what is it? That was before Christmas, early December. He said, "I want to go to Washington D.C. and see my principal where I went to school." I said, "Okay." So he arranged the air ticket. And I wrote a letter to my principal in Washington D.C. She's a bachelor woman, and she lived with sister in Connecticut Avenue or whatever. So I flew over there, and spent about almost a week. And she's staying in their apartment, and she arranged her, opera, music center, and all the tour, and to Virginia, and gather all the teachers, and three teachers where I learned was there, and everybody's so healthy, and you get older, but. And other people, and all together at many times. Every time, around lunchtime, we traveled together, and so she took us to Indianapolis choir in the Christmas mass, and Academy guys are all in black suit and dressing. That's so beautiful. And I met Billy Graham, and he was a speaker, and that was very nice. I had picture. I didn't bring, but I have from first album to this is about 12 albums.
Wow.
And still in the box, the pictures in the box.
Well, somewhere along the line, you end up with your roommate.
Oh, and so I went back Japan after that, and then I worked for the American company, big company, Joy Manufacturing, and
American
minor.
Rectifier. Was that American Rectifier?
Oh, that was Joy Manufacturing is before then, and American International Rectifier, that semiconductor in Los Angeles and El Segundo, and I worked in International Rectifier. Oh, that was in Japan. International Rectifier had Japan factory in outside Tokyo, and so I worked at the center office, in the branch office, and my boss didn't agree with the president, and he's going to quit, and so he wanted to do something, open sales office or power supply company, and he wanted me to go with him, and I didn't even plan to go to anymore. I didn't. So if you want.
We have another one scheduled at 1:30.
Okay.
He's here.
Okay.
So you have time?
They have another interview scheduled in 5 minutes.
Anyhow, so so he arranged all things, and he said, okay, you just go to the American embassy and the Japanese, foreign ministry department, and he did everything. So I didn't do anything, just go in the interview and just bum and stamp, and so he already opened the office in Torrance, the small office. And so I came here and worked for him, and we opened, to have a bigger office, and something between Japan office and himself, it is not really trust each other. So, and I'm in between. I'm Japanese, and sent by a Japanese company, and so, oh my God, so what should I? And then he was embezzled.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have to do something to save this company for something, and I didn't like that, so we worked together and saved the company. And almost, they wanted to close the office. I said, why not? Because that company's product is pretty good. So, and my engineer is very, very good, talented engineer, electronics. So we both together and find out what to do, and persuade to keep that company, and to go back to Japan, and says, okay, and they sent a terrible old guy, when a president can't speak English. Oh my God. And I didn't respect him, and I'm very bad, I don't respect him. And he wanted me call, Mr. President, Mr. President. I didn't say that. This is I just Mr. somebody, and I forgot his name. Oh, Masaki. Mr. Masaki or something like that, and it treated like a friend. So he didn't like the reporter to all Japan. This woman is hard to work with. It happened with advertisement agency. So they worked for us for advertise our product, and very good. Before we had the agency, it's terrible.
Is this similar to what you were doing?
Well, my husband had the agency that was their agency.
Oh, so you ended up with her?
No. They worked for our company's product,
Or the
advertising.
agency for their company.
KEC Electronics, and I was in KEC, and we fired former first agency, and we hired a new sales manager. And then he said, we have very good one. So, and her husband, bring her husband, and oh my God, he's such a good, and I know he's a military man, because my father, all that's around it, walk like this. Oh God. And he told me that he's a colonel and retired. And so he's very good, artistic, and all kinds of things. And Frank Chase, that sales manager, he's honest and good and intelligent, and so they said, oh no, whatever you said, he's good. And so
I'm going to. They're lined up out here to get in here, so I'm just going to. So then you ended up working with her company.
No, not to,
but then
we're still working at KEC, and he helped the advertisement. And we are always friends.
Yeah.
So, but I'm fired by Japan office. So, and company's gone. The company is closed.